What is the Enlisted Retention Board?
Well, the Enlisted Retention Board, or ERB, as many people have heard recently, is really a tool that we're using to address the high retention we have in our Navy and the very low attrition. If you haven't seen the CNO's podcast on this, I really recommend that you take and review that, because it's just a lot of information on there.
Currently, what we have as a result of that low attrition and high retention is that we have 84 ratings in the Navy, of which 31 of them are overmanned now. That's created by that high retention and low attrition, but also by a changing demand signal on what we have in the different ratings. PTS Fleet Ride was put into place to help us manage that, but with those exceedingly high and low numbers in those two areas, PTSs cannot manage the tool to that level. And so what we have to do is take a look at our force now and realize that we've got to create some room within those ratings with opportunities to move into other ratings, as well as move into the reserves for some of these people that are in these ratings, with that focus on performance that goes outside of the year groups. And so now we have to expand outside of the year groups a little bit and look across our force and say which are the best people that we want to keep those ratings at 100%, while creating opportunities for advancement and opportunities in the PTS system for our top performers to re-enlist.
One of the things that Fleet pointed out was the fact that some of our ratings are overmanned, 31 for example. We're looking at the ones that are 103% manned and above. So that's what it is. It's about shaping those ratings. So picture this, if you will. We only have paid in our Navy for so many people in the Navy at a certain time. And when you have certain ratings that are overmanned, then that takes up billets for maybe some, or opportunity for some to bring in others to help fill those ratings that we are probably undermanned in. So it's a balancing act. We're going to really stress conversion. We're going to really stress the opportunity for an individual to move over to another rating, and we're going to start that in May. So you need to make sure that you're taking a good eye on this whole process. But May is one of the first action items that we have.
You know, MCPON, I've heard the question asked before about why are we downsizing again? This is not downsizing. The billet structure is remaining the same within our Navy, but what's happening is due to that low attrition, high retention, is that we've got exceeding above our end strength authorization.
Yep.
And so this is about inventory, not about billets. And so we've got to kind of get the inventory into the right places to manage our force to meet our current and future demands.
Balancing, essentially.
Absolutely, yes.
Who is affected by the ERB?
The sailors that will be affected by the ERB are E4s through our E8s, those with 7 years or greater of service and 15 and under. So in that window from 7 to 15 years. We're going to review about 16,000 records during this period of those overmanned ratings, and we're going to select about 3,000 folks that are really the target for where we're at.
Those 31 ratings for our sailors to be able to identify which ratings, they can go to NAVADMIN 129/11. So if they go to the Navy Personnel Command website and look at the NAVADMIN link and they go to that NAVADMIN number, that will help them identify those ratings, as well as the long process. There are many dates and milestones in that message that's extremely important to be looking at and refreshing themselves on to make sure that they're staying current and getting their service record reviewed, as well as submitting information in a timely manner in accordance with those dates. One of the problems that we've had with the PTS system is people not thinking about dates that are coming up and expiration of certain things. This is important. If you're in one of those 31 ratings, we need you to pay attention, get educated, get smart, look at that message, and then making sure you're executing and supporting through your chain of command.
The key is that NAVADMIN, and Fleet mentioned dates, I think, in his answer just then a few times, and there's a reason for that. That's what we've seen in the Fleet, the trend in PTS of personnel missing certain targeted dates of action. And it's critical that you write those dates down. If you don't understand anything in the NAVADMIN, go see your career counselor, go see your chief, go see your leadership. Very important.
When will the ERB commence?
Well, phase 1 of the board, which is going to affect our E4s and our E5s, will convene in August of this year, 2011.
The E6 through the E8 portion will happen in September timeframe. And so It's important to recognize those dates, again, dates, the importance of dates leading up to that effort, and then understanding when, after those boards, things that have to happen after that board too. So afterwards, there will be a group of people that will be given the opportunity to potentially affiliate with the reserves as well. And so that's on the back side of this. And so, again, understanding the rules and how they apply to you to make sure you're tracking that is extremely important.
The conversion piece is before the boards. So it's if you're thinking about converting out of those ratings into another rating, that's the time to do that as well. Again, the dates are key critical here for our sailors and really our family members to make sure you know them, understand them, and execute to them.
Unlike other boards that we've had on performance, such as the Senior Enlisted Continuation Board, those were not quota driven. This board is quota driven because it's about, again, shaping the force and reducing the overman ratings within the Navy. So there will be numbers that apply to each one of the ratings that will be told that they cannot stay within that rating or have to affiliate reserve or even have to go home. And so again, the importance of preparation for either option is something to be concerned about.
As Fleet Point, it's a quota-based board, but we also make sure that performance is a factor in these as well. And you got to remember, this is overall is going to be very healthy in these ratings. If you have an overmanned rating, people aren't being advanced as quick, and so your advancement to the next pay grade is going to be really or extremely slowed down until people move, because we select our advancement. It's based on quotas, and the billets that are available to advance to. So right now in those ratings, those 31 ratings, they're what we'd almost consider unhealthy as far as manning wise, so there's no movement in there. So this is going to have effect not only in the Navy and the overall manning of our Navy and shaping those ratings that need maybe other people in them that are 80% manned or 85% manned, but it's also going to have a great effect on those ratings. So if you're in one of those ratings that being targeted, it's very important to understand this process is going to help you as you move forward in the Navy as well.
MCPON mentioned earlier about 3,000 is about what we expect that are going to be told that they cannot stay. And so when you take a look at the big scheme of that across our entire Navy of about 327,000, that's less than 1% of the force that you're potentially asking that's going to have to move on. And we think that's going to be very healthy for us. It's going to be healthy for those top performers on the backside of this when their advancement opportunities improve and their opportunities to re-enlist improve based on top performers. So there's a lot to be gained from this. I know that for many that's going to be perceived as something a little bit negative to them. But again, preparation is the key. And so be a top performer and we'll give you the opportunity to stay, and that's what we need to have for the success of our Navy.
Particularly in the chiefs selection boards and such, recently I've seen a trend on some of these ratings where very few to no people were advanced. And this is really what we're going to get after. We're going to get after the ability to be able to advance, to move up in those ratings, but also the overall health of our Navy. It's like balancing a checkbook, really. You only get so much money, RN1 does, to foot the bill for all the people. And by the way, personnel is the #1 account as far as the amount, and it's pressurized. So we only get paid for that certain amount of people in our Navy, and that's what we're trying to balance, is to make sure we're in there, and those people that we have in our Navy are the ones that we need in our Navy.
When will board results be released, and what will happen to the sailors who are not selected for retention?
Board results we expect as a Navy, the board results to be out by November of this year.
And for those sailors not selected for retention, we want them to think about affiliating with the reserves. There will be a period of time after the board results come out that they'll have the opportunity to apply for a reserve quota as well to affiliate with the reserves. We also want the sailors to understand that each sailor that is not retained through this process has the involuntary separation pay that they will be given. And we also want them to prepare themselves for the transition through the Fleet and Family Support Centers with the Transition Assistance Program. So I highly encourage them to get signed up for those courses and encourage them to bring their spouses to those courses to prepare them for the transitions that they're going through.
Do you have anything else to add?
I do. With the ERB, it is very important to be prepared, starting now. And I would tell you, and what I mean by that is there's a lot of key dates in that NAVADMIN, as we stated before. Make sure you know those decision points and those decision dates that are out there. Write them down. Do whatever you need to do. Your career counselors will do that as well, and your leadership team will also be engaged in that point. But make sure you, as an individual sailor, take advantage of that and know what's expected from you and what's expected from your command as you go through this process. Again, I see this as a three-phased approach. The first phase is we're going to give you the opportunity to convert to some of those other ratings. So you need to be looking at that as probably one of your options. The second phase is the board phase. And then the third phase is, okay, am I converting to another rating? Am I staying in that rating? Or at that point, there's a decision point on whether you're, being asked to maybe go to the reserves or not. It's key.
I think it's also important to reinforce too. People have asked the question, why are we doing this when we have perform to serve? PTS was not designed to manage the end strength based on the retention levels that we're experiencing today. And then also the shifting workforce that we're going through right now based on where the demand signal is. And so this becomes necessary to be able to help us shape the force, keep our inventory within required levels as directed by Congress and within the funding that we're afforded to be able to fund. And so there will be some that will not be on the list to be retained, and we understand that. But what we want to do is we want to help you be successful no matter where you are. And so you're not in this alone. You're always got your shipmates, you've got your leadership, and you need to lean on each other and tell people when you need help in managing the growth of information that they have to managing in a career. Trying to do it all yourself is not the right answer. Asking your family for help, and asking your shipmates, and asking your leadership. Ask the question. Don't let it bottle up and stir you and get you too uptight. Information is power, and make yourself powerful in the decision-making process.
This decision, i.e. the ERB, was not made lightly to conduct it. Leadership really thought about this process. I see it as a necessity. If we don't do this, then we're going to have a lot of ratings that continue to be, overmanned. Advancement and moving up into that rating is going to be very slow, and then overall in the Navy we're going to be overmanned, and it's going to continue to pressurize the perform to serve system. All this works in conjunction. Again, think about it as just balancing the force. We're not reducing, we're balancing right now.
We have amazing sailors in our Navy, and the competition gets a little tougher every year, it seems like. And so the quality that we're bringing in the Navy today is absolutely phenomenal. And so you can see what our sailors are doing around the world today, and you can't help but be proud of the contributions that they're making. And so whether they continue to serve or whether they are not retained through this process, at the end of the day, they are proud to be sailors, and we're proud that they're a part of our team.